What is going on, everybody, and welcome to a C2 First Ride. And today we are here at Mountain Motorsports in Roswell for the GSX 250R from Suzuki, who put a bolt through their U. You know, Suzuki's got to get into the 250 market, so let's see how it is. May the first ride begin. Alright guys, so Suzuki's in the 250 market. Now, whether that's a smart move or not, I'm not really sure, but we'll find out. Check out the little tack. You know what? For a cheap little bike, that's a pretty cool looking tack. It looks futuristic-y. And I can feel you on that. Okay, let's see what this bad boy sounds like. Is that it? Is that... Okay, it's a 250. It's a 250. We have to keep that in mind. Let's make sure these mirrors are good because we want to be safe. Okay. What's up, little session? How are you doing? You know what? Seat-wise, seat's not bad. I'll give it. It's got a good seat. Gixxers always have a good seat, or Suzuki GSXs have good seats. Got some bent leg situation going on. I'm 5'10", so pretty comfortable standing position. I can stand up and be well above the bike. Let's get it in gear and do this thing. Look at that, a gear indicator in a 250. Okay, I appreciate that. All right, you know what? My back's upright. My arms are kind of in a downward, kind of comfortable position. My legs are surprisingly not cramped. You know, I'm in a more comfortable situation right now. All right, Suzuki. So you saw how good all the 250 and 300 bikes are doing, and you were like, you know what? We got to get in on that. Oh, going. Oh my goodness. Even for a 250, that's... Okay, so... Hold on, turning this bike felt kind of weird just then. Oh, that feels so wrong. I don't like that at all. So when I was turning out of the dealership, the bike had this really weird, like, it felt like it took a lot of energy to get it over, and, you know, it just wasn't turning very easily. Now, when I'm riding a 300 or a 250, any type of small CC bike, you know, one of the things I kind of expect is to be real flicky, and this bike was definitely not flicky. We'll see how it is later. Maybe I just, like, felt wrong or something. But yeah, so Suzuki's finally entering the smaller engine market. You know, Yamaha has their R3 that I highly recommend. I love that bike. Kawasaki's been in the market for a while. They've had their, you know, Ninja 250. They don't make that anymore, but they do make a Ninja 300 now that's also a phenomenal bike. Honda has their low CC bike, and to be honest, I feel like it lacks character, and it's just, there's not a lot there. It doesn't even get close to being compared with the R3 and the Ninja 300. So I'm interested to see where Suzuki comes in at. I don't know why they went with a 250. Like, that engine, I feel like is just a little too small. Maybe they've geared it really well. They're supposedly, this thing should be geared for maximum fun factor between the 15 mile per hour and 55 mile per hour zone. We'll have to see, man, because I personally just don't think 250 is enough engine, even for a brand new person riding. Prove me wrong, Suzuki. Please prove me wrong. But first, we got to see how this turning is. All right, and we're lean. Oh my God, this sounds terrible. Whoa. Yikes. Okay. All right, let's change lanes. Oh my gosh. I don't know if it's the type of wheels that are on this thing or what, but turning is not good. You have to just muscle the bike left and right. And you should not have to do that with a freaking 250cc bike. That's not a good thing. You know, everything's a compromise. You go with a 250 and at least you get a nimble bike. It doesn't have a lot of engine, and this one definitely doesn't have any engine. One thing I like about the R3 is a bike doesn't have to have a crazy amount of engine to be a really good bike. The R3 is a good example of that, where it's a really flicky bike. The R3 has a really good engine for a 300 class bike, but you know, that's not what makes it a really awesome bike. Is this woman gonna just, yeah, please go ahead, because there's no way I can speed up. But it's really nimble, and it still makes it a really fun bike to ride. This bike it feels sluggish in a turn. It feels, I mean, the power is underwhelming. Like, if you buy a 250 and you expect to have a lot of power, you're coming in with kind of the wrong expectations. And I don't expect this bike to have a ton of power. I am interested in how it puts the power on, and I'm also interested at, I mean, when you're talking 250s, is it safe enough to have on a regular road? So when I'm giving this thing brakes, man, I'm pulling pretty hard to feel any sort of feedback from the bike to, like, slow it down. That's not good, man. That's not good at all. Oh my good lord, man. I'm not exaggerating. Wait, what does gear 0 mean? We might stall. Why does it say 0 if it's neutral? Do you guys see the gear indicator? That's first. Why is there a 0? There's an N, I get that, but why is there not an N right there? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay. You know, a bike has to have a certain amount of acceleration to just be safe. Like, I don't feel safe with the power of this motorcycle. And I'm certainly not going to feel safe recommending this to somebody that doesn't know how to ride. Are you kidding me? I have to think about this bike as a beginner person starting to ride. They probably don't know what they're doing, and they don't need a lot of power, but they do need enough power to get in and out of traffic, and I'm kind of terrified to get on the highway with this thing. The brakes are also just not there. Like, a dude needs to stop. I like that the brakes aren't really strong for a beginner rider, because, you know, when you're a beginner rider, you don't have that muscle memory that tells you, hey, don't do anything really fast. You know, if you pull the brakes in really fast, that's how you lock up a tire. If you give the throttle a lot of throttle really fast, that's how you do a wheelie. And as a beginner rider, you don't want to do that. But by giving a new rider a motorcycle that to brake, you have to get a handful. I don't think you could lock the wheels up with this bike. You would have to just, you'd have to pull this so hard you'd pull your handlebars. So if you're looking for a bike with like fuel efficiency, a 250 or 300 is definitely going to be a good spot. It's got this super thin gas tank. I think it's a 4-gallon gas tank, and with the MPG on the bike, you should get around 250 miles off of one tank. That's actually a good bit of range, so I appreciate that. And you know, that's awesome, because you can, if you're a new rider, you can spend a lot of time in the saddle on your bike. I just don't know if you'd want to spend that much time in this thing. I'll give it a thumbs up for the mirrors. The mirrors aren't bad. I can see behind me. One thing that I'm not a really big fan of the mirrors is the little pivot area. There's no click into place, so if that nut got loose, that mirror was just gonna sag forward. Watch this. It stops at no specific spot, so it's friction that holds the mirror in place. That's not gonna last forever. You're gonna have to constantly be tightening that bolt, and it's gonna be a real pain in the ass down the road. All right, highway 2017 Gixxer 250 or GSX 250R. We're starting in third. Let's see what happens. We got this tiny little windscreen that hopefully is going to block some air. thank God that truck got over. Alrighty. Oh, okay, so the seat at the very back, I just scooted back to kind of get in a tuck position, and the seat kind of has this really pronounced lip at the very back, so it's very uncomfortable to be in a tuck. You have to be up forward on the seat, so there's really no margin for sliding around. Oh, that's 6th gear. Okay, well, great. So we're going 80 on the highway. This is about as fast as you're probably going to go on an American highway. I'm in 6th gear. I'm right at 10,000 RPMs. Rev limiter looks like it's about 10.5, and oh, that's top gear. That's as fast as it'll go. 86 is what we're topping out at. I'm tucked all the way in, and I got 1 mile per hour. Woohoo! I'm living on the wild side. Oh my God, this is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. I'm bouncing off the rev limiter at 88. Can he get 90? Can he get 90? What you got, Corvette? What, bro? What? Yeah, we're not hitting 90, guys. We are not hitting 90. Yeah, we're dropping speed. Alright. I'm a heavy-set individual, and I got this thing up to 88. I'm still pegging out the revs, and I'm not going any more than 86 sitting upright. You know, this is going to be the type of thing, it's not going to be good on the highway, obviously, with a 250 engine, but I'm happy that it can get up to highway speeds. Granted, how long is it going to take you to get to those highway speeds? I don't know. How do you feel about pegging your bike out when you get on the highway? I don't know. I personally, if I owned this bike, I wouldn't feel comfortable getting on the highway and just, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to do that. You're gonna feel like you're gonna degrade your bike. Oh God, the turning is even worse on the highway. I'm gonna get a workout just going back and forth. So as far as wind on the highway, you know, sitting upright, I can feel it in my abdomen, not my abs. I don't even got any of those. But I can feel all the wind hitting me. I'm not getting a lot of wind blockage with this little piece of shit. So yeah, do you want to do the highway on this thing? No. To get 85, you're gonna have to max your bike out. But maybe that's not what you're looking for to do on a bike. Let me gotta get that adjusted. So I'm in 6th gear. I'm doing this. I can literally feel the bike doing nothing. Jesus, man. Ooh, I haven't been this harsh on a bike in a while, but I also haven't ridden a bike this bad in a while. That's full throttle, man. That's full throttle. I would not feel safe having to get into fast-moving traffic with this. Ay, ay, ay. You know, eventually, if you keep giving it throttle, it'll eventually get there, but it takes so much time. So, you know, one thing I really do like about the bike is the seat, other than that back little lip. I like the seat softness, and I do like the handlebar positioning. I would call it mildly aggressive, like very mildly aggressive. I'm slightly forward, which puts me in like that fun stance. But I'm not too far forward where I can't, like, look at that. My arm can be bent. Oh, that's giving it a decent amount of front brake and a lot of rear brake. And I literally see a yellow light come up, and I do worry a little bit. I'm like, am I going to be able to stop in time for that? That is not that is not a feeling you want to have in a motorcycle. You know, you should feel confident coming to a stop. I cannot imagine what a new rider would feel like. All right, let's try this thing. Full throttle. I can barely accelerate faster than the mom next to me in her white Audi, who is casually accelerating. I was full throttle. Okay, here's an idea. On Suzuki's website, they say that this engine has been tuned for optimum torque and riderability between 15 miles per hour and 55 miles per hour. So when this light turns green, I'm going to casually get to 15 and then I'm going to gun it. Because hypothetically, Suzuki says that that's where they've made the bike. They've made this bike to exist between 15 miles per hour and 55. We will play their game. All right, we're casual, no big deal, nothing's happening. Blast off. Okay, and that was the money zone for this bike. So the acceleration that you just saw is the peak of what Suzuki says this bike can do. That is also in the lowest possible gear, which means it was going at the fastest it possibly could. I am talking a lot of crap about this bike, and that's just my personal opinion. I do want to say that though, you could ride this bike and you could feel totally different. That's the beauty of the world. Everybody has opinions. Whoa, that bug had a life and now he doesn't. Hey, that bug had the life expectancy of what I imagine this bike will have. God, this is not how you want to ride a motorcycle. You don't want to ride a motorcycle hoping you don't have to slow down, worried that you don't have enough power. It's not even fun. It's more like a game of Russian roulette. Like, I hope I don't get put in a bad situation because I damn sure don't have the power to get out of that situation. And for God's sake, don't let me have to brake, because I'm just going to be like, let Jesus take the bars and just see what happens. The one thing about the suspension I'm not a big fan of it is it's really soft. Now, if you go to the track, you probably want hard suspension so you can feel everything of what's happening. And when you have a softer suspension, it makes it for a nicer ride. You know, you hit a bump, you don't feel it as hard. And that's fine. I feel like this bike might have a little too soft suspension because everything's exaggerated. When I throttle up a lot, they kind of open up and the bike gets pushed up a bit. If I brake, look, if you brake under really hard circumstances, the suspension kind of gets pushed down. You see that kind of pushback when I let go of the brakes? When I can really feel that, the suspension and how soft it is when I'm downshifting and when I'm shifting up. Because when I shift up, there's a kind of a push of power instantly, then it goes away. And the same thing happens with the engine braking. When I engine brake, there's an initial bite and it comes back to neutral where it's just not engine braking very hard. So watch this. You see how the bike kind of jerked forward a little bit? It's not like, I think that's the suspension just really exaggerating what's happening. You know, the reason I'm being so critical about this bike, and the reason I'm really critical on a lot of lower CC bikes, is because the people that are going to be getting those bikes are going to be people that are introducing themselves in the motorcycle market and the motorcycle, you know, community. And I don't want those guys or girls to not have a good time on their motorcycle and not ride anymore. I want our community to get bigger and people to get passionate about it. And I feel like somebody that's just starting out, if they get on this bike and they ride it for a round, they're not going to have a good time. I have had a better time on a 50cc scooter. I will say that. Because my expectation is what a 50cc scooter should be. Alright, let's get this thing parked up, take a look at it, and we'll kind of check it out there. See what we think about how the looks are. Maybe that'll be the thing that this bike has going for it. Alright, ladies and gents, 2017 GSX 250R from Suzuki. We've got the white model here. They have a white and a black model. Front wheels, do the front wheels look big to you guys? Like really long? Weird. They kind of give me that like off-roady wheel looking vibe. So that's the front of it. I appreciate that it kind of has a Gixxer feel. You know, the bike does look like a baby Gixxer, which is great. Also, if you guys don't know, Gixxer, GSXR, Gixxer, that's what Gixxer comes from. It's got the big single front headlight. You know, the turn signals aren't terrible. I'd chop them off if I was unfortunate enough to buy this bike, but it is what it is. I think the forks, they just look really cheap. It is what it is. I do like the white, the red, and the black. I appreciate that. I like the color combo. Did they do the same thing they did on their Gixxer? No. So the Gixxer, the 1000, the material of the seat and the rear seat match this material. They skipped out on this. Then again, this bike is like, what, $4,500? So the engine looks like it's freaking missing something right here. Woo! Hey, at least the shock matches, and the exhaust is slightly, only slightly smaller than its 1000 brethren. Suzuki, we really need to have a discussion about sticker placement. Why would you put a sticker where a bolt's gonna go? I don't know, my personal opinion. Tail's not terrible. You know, I appreciate the angle. Hack that thing off. It's got little teeny tires, that's cute. What else to say, man? It kind of gives me the, looking at the dash from this perspective, it kind of gives me a ninja vibe. So maybe they took some design thoughts from the ninjas. I don't know, man. It's a cheap bike, you know. Maybe it's a good deal. Maybe it's the only bike you can afford, and you know, a GSX R 250 thing. Maybe that's better than having no bike at all. Alright, I'm going to stop shitting on this thing, and we're going to listen to the exhaust. Before we do, I always remind you guys, Chaseontwowheels.com. You can check out my blog post. I do a blog post for every motorcycle that I do a first ride on. High-def downloadable photos, an exhaust sound that you can actually hear on a nice microphone, unlike what you're about to hear on the GoPro, and a little ranking system that I do for all the bikes. So let's get this thing cranked up and let you guys listen to it here on the GoPro. But if you want some of that stuff, links, as always, are in the description. We're in neutral. We're not turning right. This is the 2017 Suzuki GSX 250R. And ladies and gents, that's all she wrote. That is all she wrote. All right, let's get back on it and let's finish this thing up, guys. And now I'm gonna wait till I have a good lead on a car, because I'm worried I won't be able to go fast enough for these cars. I'm not even joking. Like, that white car should be far enough back. I can't catch up to a Nissan Leaf. Alright guys, so in summation of the 2017 GSX 250R, I cannot in good conscience recommend this motorcycle to anybody. I don't think the engine is powerful enough for the road. It just doesn't give me enough power to feel confident getting into traffic. And if that worries me a little bit, being an experienced rider, what's it gonna do to somebody that doesn't know how to ride? I feel like the brakes are bad. Like, worry me riding around bad. The looks, that's, you know, that everybody's gonna be different. You might like the way it looks. I personally don't like it. And I just don't feel like Suzuki really gave a shit making this motorcycle. I typically tell you guys who I would recommend this bike for. I wouldn't recommend this bike for anybody. Not a new rider, not a bike that is looking to just putter around on. Suzuki has their little 200cc van. That bike is okay to be a slow piece of shit because it's made to just cruise around on and just lollygag and have a good time. This is a bike somebody's gonna ride all the time, and whoever buys this bike, I don't feel like they're gonna have a good time on it. So I'm sorry, I can't recommend this to anybody. There is not a single person I can think about that I would be like, you know what, you should get a GSX 250R. Not a single one. If you're a starter person looking for a motorcycle, I'm going to put links in the description for a Yamaha R3 first ride and a Kawasaki Ninja 300 first ride. Those are two phenomenal starter bikes. And if you're looking for a low CC option, that's where you need to go. I cannot in good conscience tell you should get this bike. And I'm certainly not going to tell you to get a bike where you're going to have to upgrade the brakes and the engine to be safe. Are you kidding me? No, absolutely not. Oh, I've got my little pixel helmet scale, my little like rating system. I give this one helmet because I have to have some helmet on the screen. I don't really want to say it, but I'm pretty certain that this is the worst motorcycle I have ever ridden in my career as a motorcycle rider, videographer. I think this is the worst one. I'm not joking at all. I don't see the point. I really don't. And you know what? I'm sorry to talk trash about a bike, and please remember, guys, this is my opinion. I'm basing this off my experience with motorcycles and my experience that I've just shared with you guys. Based on those two factors, I think this is a terrible motorcycle. To Suzuki, I am sorry. I'm not sorry, but like, this is honest. This is 100% honest. I think your Gixxer 1000, the 2017 I just rode, I think that was a phenomenal motorcycle. I think that the lower CC class needs to have a Suzuki bike. This thing needs better brakes, and it needs a 350cc engine. If you can give it those two things, I can forgive the other crap. I can forgive the hard to turn in stuff, you know? Give it the highest engine in the class and you're good. You know, I'll forgive it for that. As this bike stands right now, worst bike I've ever ridden. That is what it is. So guys, as we head back to Mountain Motorsports to give this bike back, I got to give a shout out to those guys. If it wasn't for those guys, I would not get to ride all of these motorcycles and let you guys know what it's like riding them for the first time. So if you guys are interested in the North Georgia area, I highly recommend clicking on the links in the description to go check out Mountain Motorsports. Roswell is my current top favorite place. I love the guys that work there. So if you're ever in the North Georgia area, you want to see some dope bikes, go check those guys out. Links for their info is in the description. And this is a situation, it's this bike right here that's a great example of why it's awesome that I'm partnered up with Mountain Motorsports and not Suzuki, because if I was with Suzuki, it would be hard for me to make I'm sorry, these brakes are just not, I don't feel safe riding with them. If Suzuki had paid me to make a video about their bike, I wouldn't be able to tell you guys my honest first impressions of it. So it's videos like this, it's unfortunate to make. I cannot stand making videos where I just shit on a bike, but I also value my integrity, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If a bike sucks, you know, a bike sucks, that's okay. They can fix it in later models, but I don't want to lie to you guys. So it's situations like this I'm really appreciative of Mountain Motorsports, because you know, they just give me bikes. I don't care if you guys go and buy this bike or not. I don't give a shit. I don't gain from it. And guys, make sure to click that like button if you enjoyed this first ride, and subscribe to the channel if you like first rides. I do them as often as I possibly can. But for now, I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. I am sadly happy to be off of this bike. Later, guys.